So I was originally going to make this video a story time video because something happened at work yesterday that I really wanted to discuss, and I felt like it needed to be out there. But then as I was thinking about it, it really turned into like something I could learn from, and I think people can learn from, because so the thing is, I work a full-time job and then I work another job on the side that I've been doing for years. I only work it once a week because frankly I've kind of given up hope on managers treating people well and customers treating people well, and I just don't want to subject myself to that anymore. And so I'm working 2 weeks straight. I had one day off amongst that 2 weeks, and my manager at my old job, the one that I've been at for a long time, asked me if I wanted to pick up any shifts that week. And I said, well, you know, my only day off is this Thursday, and it's my only day off for 2 weeks, and I would really not like to work, but, you know, I know you're down on people and you could really use the help, so, like, all I really want to do is, like, a noon to 4, because I've got a lot of stuff I need to get done that day. And she said, well, if you want that shift, I'll give it to you. So I said, all right, cool. I'll work noon to 4. I checked my schedule. I'm scheduled 11 to 4. And I was like, okay, that's not what I said. So I feel like that should have been the first red flag. But I just was like, all right, well, whatever, not a big deal. I guess it's just one more hour. So I come in, and I'm not even on the clock yet. And my best friend is working, and she tells me she's been calling for help. She's called for help like 5 times. No managers are coming up to help her. She's got lines out the wazoo. And I should clarify, this is at a grocery store. We had 2 cashiers, and she said there were like 6 people in each line since she got there at like 9 a.m. We opened at 6. So this information will become relevant later. So we opened at 6. She got there at 9 because that's when she was scheduled. I got there at 11. Technically, I got there at 10:30 because I wanted to get there early. And I ended up just like helping her, using my override card to like clear the lights, help solve problems. I was stocking bags, blah, 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 blah. And so I was doing more than expected of me, obviously, only because I was like, well, I'm going to help my best friend out. She's stressed out. You know, I'm going to help out. So I was working off the clock, which you're not supposed to, but I was just basically volunteering my time. I don't care. I clock in. Shit's hitting the fan every 5 seconds. The lines are constantly long. My manager is working in a completely different department. I don't know why, but he just wasn't there. And he's the one that makes the schedule. So this is all his doing. He didn't schedule enough people. And another manager comes up to me and says, hey, you guys need to be on your toes today because corporate's coming for a visit. Well, every time corporate comes, everyone loses their shit. They're like running around like a bomb went off because they can't get anything together because they're like, they got a brown nose to corporate so hard. They got to kiss so much ass because nothing's getting done at our store. And I've known this for years. I'm like, the store's going downhill and like we have nobody to work, whatever. So the hours are going by. It's like 3 o'clock. My other manager finally comes in, which maybe she should have been there in the morning to help get ready for when corporate arrives. But no, she wasn't scheduled in the morning. Not my problem. But so she comes in and doesn't even really stay in our department. She immediately leaves and goes somewhere else because I wasn't able to find her for a good half hour. I had hurt my foot earlier that day, so I'm like limping around, hobbling around, trying to solve these lights, help people. Like, I keep having to hop on register and ring people out. We barely got the breaks done. Like, we barely got people to go to their break because it was so crazy. I basically skipped mine because I was like, well, if I skip mine, this cashier can have theirs on time. And then I didn't have a chance to actually go back and take mine, but I was like, all right, whatever. You know, I've done this before, sacrifice my break so that everybody else's gets done. not unheard of. And we had a customer earlier that day as well yell at my best friend because he thought she was ignoring him. He's standing over at a self-checkout machine. His light is flashing, saying that he needs help. She's down on the other end helping out a different customer. And when she's done helping that customer, she moves on down the line, helps the next customer, and then goes to help him. And he's already throwing a fit. He's yelling at her. He's mumbling shit under his breath. He basically tells her, cancel my order. I'm going to go report you for, like, ignoring me and being, like, a terrible employee. And she was like, I'm sorry for the wait, but I was helping another customer. He didn't believe her. Whatever. This is not new to us. We've been treated like this for years by customers. I never really understood why anybody came to the grocery store and was so pissed off that they had to wait a minute and a half for something. Whatever. Anyway, so he goes down to the service desk to report her. The line there is too long, so he comes back up to where she and I are standing, watching over our department, and he says, okay, I'll play your little games. Call a manager up here. So she looks behind us, and she sees that one of our grocery managers is stocking shelves in the aisle next to us. So she calls to him and goes, hey, can you come here for a second? The customer gets pissed because he thinks we're making things up and says, managers don't stock shelves. That's not a manager. So I've about had it with this dude and his attitude coming out of fucking nowhere. So I was like, our stock manager does. He stocks shelves. Like, you don't know this. But I do. So why would I just, like, call a fake person over? I get it. We're young. We're stupid. Whatever. And whatever preconceived notion he had in his head that we're just, like, making stuff up. So anyway, so the manager comes up and he's like, hi, how can I help you? And this guy just goes off on him about how my best friend, like, sucks at her job, and then, like, calling her names and, like, yelling at her, and then turns around and is like, why are you smiling? And because, like, we're just like, this is so ridiculous that the only thing we can do is, like, laugh about it, because how else are we supposed to get through this? And she yells at him and goes, sir, you're being rude and it's unnecessary. I already apologized for your wait. What else do you want me to do? And so this guy gets pissed and he's raising a fuss. And so he says he's leaving and going to a different grocery store. So I just went, bye. Good fucking riddance. We don't want your attitude here in the store. You're treating us like garbage. And the thing is, then the manager turns to me and gets mad at me because I was escalating the situation and making it worse. Which I was like, fair point. However, if you're not going to stand up for your employees, I certainly will. I was like, this is somebody I care about. And I am watching a stranger who knows nothing about her just berate her over and over again over something he knows nothing about. He had to wait a minute and a half and suddenly he doesn't have to respect her anymore. He can say whatever he wants to her. And then as a manager, you just stand there and let it happen? So I said to him, I'm like, you know, the reason why I don't work here more than one day a week is because of this right here. You let customers walk all over us and treat us like garbage and say nothing. And sometimes even take their side. I've never seen a manager in the 6 years that I've been working at this grocery store ever tell a customer, please don't talk to my employees that way. It's disrespectful. I've never seen them stand up for us. Never. Because I get they're trying to save face and it's their job to be like, oh, I'm so sorry my employee acted that way. They'll never do that again. But there's a time and place to say, you know what? That's not okay. That's rude, and we don't approve of that behavior here. So if you're going to shop at our store, you will not treat our employees like that. Because we've never treated a customer like that from the start. Like, we've never come up to a customer and been so rude to them out of nowhere. Never. At least I haven't seen it. I haven't done it. My best friend hasn't done it. I can't speak for all people, but I know for a fact that neither one of us has. Now, my actual manager finally comes up to the front. My best friend's shift is over, so she's like clocked out and she's like shopping. My manager goes over and helps the customer. He's getting mad because he thought he saw something in the weekly ad that it's not ringing up right or whatever, so he's throwing a fit. She's trying to find a weekly ad, can't seem to find one. She finally finds one over at like the service desk. It's like kind of far away. She comes back up, solves the issue, and then comes over to me and is mad at me because there's no ads at the end of the registers. She said there needs to be ads at every register, and she looks over at like the rack of baskets that hold all the things that like customers don't want, like things that we're supposed to be putting back, and they're all full because we haven't had a chance to get to them, to put them back on the shelves. And she's mad at me because she said, you know why this place looks so bad? Is because people don't know how to do their jobs. Kind of a dig at me. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? I told her, I was like, after all the shit that I've been through today, I'm not going to take that. So I walked away, and she follows me, and she was like, I'm not trying to be rude, it's just that it's these little things that corporate's going to notice. And, you know, it all adds up and whatever. And I was like, it's a valid point. But if you want to talk about who's not doing their job, why were there only 2 people scheduled today? 2. The person who's not doing their job is the other manager who understaffed us and then worked in a different department. So there's no way he's dealing with the aftermath of any of this. So like, or any of the repercussions. Because when shit hits the fan, there's customers everywhere, there's lines at the wazoo, the lights are flashing at the self-checkouts. He has nothing to do with it. He doesn't have to fix any of it because he's not in that department today. So who does it all fall on? Me and my best friend who's working up front. Like, I'm limping as fast as I can with my freaking hurt foot. It feels like I broke it. I don't want to be over dramatic, but it really feels like I broke it. Like I could not put any pressure on it at all. So I'm hobbling around trying to get to these customers and make it so that like their day isn't completely ruined because they had a bad experience at the grocery store. And I'm trying my hardest to like jump on register, scan fast enough to get the lines down, then jump back off, cover a break, do this, do that. We're going insane, stressing ourselves out over this stupid schedule that we didn't even make. And then yet my other manager comes in and has the audacity to blame us for being understaffed when we don't make the schedule. So the thing, I think the takeaway from this is, and I think that like I really started noticing, is that managers who do not stick up for their employees should not be surprised when they leave. I've seen a lot of good workers leave because they were being disrespected and they were not being treated well. And I always stuck around because the job for me was easy. It didn't take a lot of like of a thought process to do everything that I need to do because I've been doing it for so long. It's just second nature to me. Sometimes it's stressful, yes. Yesterday specifically, yes, was stressful. But it's not difficult for me to comprehend how I need to do my job. And for somebody to come in who has not dealt with it and does not know what had happened previously, to come in and tell me how I need to do my job, I don't appreciate it. And I don't like when people who have a title, they're like, oh, I'm a manager, oh, I'm a CEO, oh, I'm a corporate something or other. They come in and they tell you how to do your job, or they come in and they just want to start pointing fingers at everyone but themselves. Now, I'm not saying it's her fault that she wasn't scheduled, and it's not her fault that like the go-backs did not get done or whatever, that there weren't ads at every register, but it's not my fault either. And so displacing the blame onto the wrong people is not a good practice, because that's what pushes people away and makes people want to quit or not give like 110%. Like, you expect so much from your people, and like I graciously do 150% almost every day because I'm like, you know what, if I don't do it, that puts a lot more work on somebody else. But lately I'm wondering whether or not it's even worth it, because at the end of the day I'm like, this is just a grocery store. This isn't the frickin' Pentagon. This isn't the White House. We only affect the people that come shop here, and not even that much. It's not a big deal. It's just a grocery store, and yet everybody's going batshit crazy over nothing. And if the corporate representatives were to come in and go, hey, I noticed that you didn't get all those like products put back on the shelf. Why is that? You could then explain, we did not expect this many people to be shopping today. Or we messed up the schedule. Own up. Own up. Don't say, oh, our coordinators, our supervisors didn't do their job correctly. They weren't able to get it done. This is not my problem. This is not my fault. The fact that we had 2 cashiers, I had nothing to do with that. If it were up to me, we would have had 3 or 4. But it wasn't up to me. It was somebody else who did this. They fucked us over. Me and my best friend are making the best of a bad situation. We are just trying to get through the day without all hell breaking loose and things catching fire. And we did a pretty good job of it, despite being stressed out, me being pretty injured, and not really able to do my job, but I'm pushing through the pain to get through it because that's all I know to do. And then to have somebody come in and say, well, you didn't do this, that, and the other. It baffles me. It honestly baffles me. And I know there's like a lot going on in the world right now, and there are bigger issues to take care of. But like addressing these little things is a way to like, I don't even know. But like, I don't want to be stressing out at work. So much so that I just want to quit every time I go in there. And denying lived experience, like when I tell them, hey, this is how things work, you should listen to me, I've been doing this job for 6 years, and they don't want to listen, even though they haven't been doing it nearly as long, I'm like, I have more lived experience doing this exact same thing than you do. I think my opinion holds a little bit of merit, you should probably listen to me. And their first instinct is to discredit everything I have to say because it conflicts with what they think. I don't appreciate that. It's a terrible management style. Listen to your people. The people that you are working with, they have different views. They're not always correct, but they have different views. And if all you do is see what's in front of you, you're never going to see the big picture. And I say this knowing that my other job, when I work at a coffee shop, my manager, she gets it there. When stuff happens, she understands it because she has to do the same job that we all do every day. Yes, she does extra managerial stuff, but for the most part, she's doing the same job we're doing. So when she says, we're changing this, this is a new policy, yada, 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 it's because she knows how it's going to affect her as well as everybody else. Like, she knows how it's going to impact us. And there have been times where I said, hey, you know, I know you haven't been here that long, but if we do this, it's going to make this, this, and this more difficult. And she was like, okay. And like, took it into consideration. We did a trial period of whatever it was that she wanted to do. Learned that I was right, that it wasn't going to work out well. And then we didn't do it anymore. Because she listened to me. And I have no problem saying, okay, I hear you, but let's just try it this way for a little bit. That's not a problem, because what if it works out? You know, you never know. But you have to listen to your people. And don't blame them for everything that goes wrong. Sometimes you have to own up to stuff. Like, that's the thing that blows my mind, is that once you get a managerial position, you don't want to own up to anything. You're always pointing fingers at other people, and it's not a good way to go about doing your job. I don't blame other people if I can't do my job. If there's only 2 cashiers scheduled, I said that's not my problem. But the job that I'm here to do, solve the lights, ring up customers, you know, that kind of stuff, I did that. I did what I was supposed to do. All these like extra things like putting stuff back on the shelves, putting ads out, that's not my responsibility. In fact, my manager even said, the opening supervisor should have done this. And I said, that was not me. And that wasn't my best friend. Like, she came in at 9, I came in at 11, we opened at 6. Whoever was supposed to come in at 6 should have done it. They did not do that. Why are you getting mad at us? It baffles me. It honestly baffles me. I know I'm going on a rant. This is going on like 20 minutes long, but just own up to stuff. The world would be so much of a better place if people could just say, you know what, I was wrong, and I'm going to fix it going forward. People they let their egos get in the way. They think, oh, well, I have to save face. if I admit that I did something wrong, then they're going to go, oh, I told you so. I knew you couldn't do your job. And that's not it. I don't get much joy out of saying, ha, I knew you didn't know what you were doing, if it affects me. I would much rather them go, you know what? I messed up. I want to fix it. How do you propose we go about this? Take my opinion into consideration. Take somebody else's opinion into consideration. Talk with people that it's going to affect. And don't just assume that because you admit that you didn't know what you were doing or that you were wrong, that suddenly we're going to think you're a bad person. In fact, I'll think you're a way better person if you could admit to what you did. If you can have your own humility and say, you know what, I messed up. Because it makes you human. And it makes you relatable. I mean, I'll be the first to admit that I mess up all the time. There are a lot of things I do that I'm like, probably shouldn't have done that. That was probably not the right way to do that. And if somebody were to say, hey, did you do this, that, and the other? I would be like, yeah, I did. Here's why I did it, but I did it. I'm not going to be like, no, so-and-so made me do that. It's their fault. Why? I did it. There's no disputing that. Just own up. Own up to stuff. Anyway, that's like a story time rant about what happened yesterday. I am seriously considering looking for new employment. And I feel like if you're ever in a situation where you're not being treated fairly or with respect, you should, A, speak up about it, which I did. I said, you know what, I'm not going to take this because I worked my ass off for you. I volunteered for this shift even though I really didn't want to, because I did it so that you would have coverage, because I knew that it would be probably a little bit more stressful if you had to do all that stuff yourself. So I did that. I did her a favor. Granted, I was getting paid for it, but whatever. I did her a favor. I really did not want to work. I didn't want to work 2 weeks in a row, but I picked up the shift because I'm like, you know what, the holidays are crazy, and I don't want this to all be on, like, 3 people. And yet, despite doing that, giving, like, 150% while my foot was hurt, and, like, it still hurts. Like, it's not recovering. I don't know what happened, but I fucked up my foot. All so that we could get through the day to cover for my manager who fucked up the schedule. All so that he didn't have to take the blame for himself. And I don't appreciate it. And if you're ever in that situation, speak up, number one. You have to speak up about it, because if you don't, I mean, there is a very good chance that the people that are doing this to you don't even realize they're doing it. I've had several experiences where the manager was kind of pissing all over everybody below him and didn't even realize it. I don't know if he was playing dumb or what, but like, he didn't realize he was doing it. And then once people started speaking up about it, he was like, oh my God, I didn't even realize. Step 1, talk about it. Speak up. Step 2, own up. If you're at any part of it, like like I said, I'll be the first to admit if I did something wrong. If I had anything to do with why yesterday didn't go well, I will say something about it. Like, if I had told my manager, hey, I know I'm working Thursday, so you don't really have to schedule anybody else, and then it turns out he did, I would be like, you know what, that was my fault. I should not have said that. But I didn't say it. So, speak up, own up, and then if you have to, if it's really gotten to the point where you can't, you're dreading going into work every single day, I would say find another job if you can. I know it's not applicable for everyone, but find another job. I like to say that I have fuck you money. I have money saved up so that if I want to just walk out, I can, and I'll be fine. And I know it's not easy to get to that point for everyone, but it would be great if you could, because being able to walk away from a stressful situation is so great. You know, it takes so much weight off your shoulders that you're like, you know what, I don't have to go back to that environment anymore. I don't have to be subjected to all this disrespect. And if your managers care at all, they'll try and keep you around. And not because they need people to work, but because they truly feel bad for what happened. So, I don't know if anybody took anything from this. I hope they did. I hope if somebody's watching this and they're a manager, they think about how they've been treating their employees. If you're in some sort of position of power and you're listening to this or you're hearing this or whatever, think about what you've been doing. Talk to your people and own up. Just own up.